there's something I've come to realize recently, and it hurts me so much that even I fell for this trap. And what is it? This is negative debt. What is negative debt? Many of us have enough negative debt or bad debt, and they say, oh, don't take a bad debt, don't take a loan from the bank to buy a car or to build a house, and several things like that. And of course, we hear these things and it sounded, of course, I can't do this kind of thing. I mean, I'm smarter than this. But the truth is that many of us don't realize that many of us are still putting ourselves on negative debt. Many of us are spending so much that our income is not able to keep up with it. Eventually, for us to get by, we need to borrow extra money, get extra money. Some of us even take loans from our organizations, and of course, they're tipping it off our salary and several things like that. But see, it pains me so much when I see that I am on a negative. A couple of months back, I had to take a loan. If I had known better, I would have stood my ground and said, oh, let's manage with what we have. Let's manage with the resources that we have. And if there's anything we don't have that we really need to get, then that's why I'm probably going to take an extra step and solicit from family members and loved ones and things like that. Now, that should have been my stand. But I went ahead and, of course, I took a bad debt. And I took a bad debt. Eventually, for months and months, even till now, I'm still paying for my bad debt. I mean, it's sipping out of the money I'm meant to be using to build credible assets. I mean, I'm going to use the money to work for me, but it's sipping out of the money I'm meant to use to build assets, and I have to still pay back this bad debt, and it's still going to last for a long while. I mean, really, I understand that debt can be depressing, debt can be a lot, debt can be bad. It's not that bad in itself if you realize how to take action from debt. If you realize how to take action and make better of yourself, even from debt, it's not exactly a bad thing. Of course, there's the issue of creditors chasing you and several things like that. But let me explain to you what I did that I'm currently using to get out of debt. So when I read the book Richest Man in Babylon, I learned a principle then. And there was this story, for those of you that have read the book Richest Man in Babylon, there was this story where there was a man who was in debt, and of course he was trying to run away. He had a family, he had a wife, but he was trying to run away because the creditors were chasing him. He had so much in debt, he was owing every single person on the street, and he didn't know how to pay it back. It had gotten so much that it was already an eyesore. Now he was trying to run away when he then met another older man who then advised him and said, see, you currently see me as a rich man, but I also was once a debtor. And he was surprised that you debt is impossible. And then he said, of course, he was a debtor. He was even a slave who was a debtor. And how did he get around it? How did he get to overcome it? Eventually, what he did was that he had a principle. He had a principle of spending, saving, repaying. Spending, saving, repaying. He had a certain amount of money that he's going to spend. He had a certain amount of money he was going to repay, and he had a certain amount of money he was going to save. Now, of course, someone will say that, oh, my debtors are on my neck, my debtors are chasing me and things like that. But that's when integrity starts to come into place. You need to learn to take the boldness to meet your debtors. Currently, you don't have the capacity to handle these debts. This and this and this is your plan to repay the debts. And I promise to uphold my repayments. If I don't uphold this, then of course you can come for me and do whatever you want to do. Of course, many persons will disagree. They did disagree with me. Several persons disagreed with me. I had to come up with a plan to try to settle those disagreeing persons first, and then settle the ones that then agreed with me even much later. And of course, I spoke with all of them, and everybody came to terms. So really, spending, saving, repaying. The amount you repay, of course, you used to pay for your debt and things like that. But note that your amount you are repaying should probably be just 10 to 20% of your actual income. Now, the amount you're also saving should be like 10 to 20% of your income. And the remaining percent, that's about 60 to 80%. The remaining 60 to 80%, you should spend it in with upkeep. So you don't go back to borrowing money or to lending money from other persons. You're able to eventually use this money to pay for your house rent, get food, send your children to school, and do several things like that so that you don't have to go back to your begging. So it's important you properly structure your debt repayment routine and things like that. And eventually, when you start to work out of it, you start to realize that it's not all that bad. And eventually, you can even come out even stronger and a better person. Let me know what you think in the comment section, guys. Cheers.
People is something we never want to eat.
Yeah.
We have been preaching the gospel. People miss crypto, they miss Bitcoin when it came. People miss a lot of things, even Ethereum.